everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got one bombshell of a report to share with you guys today. As you know, our economy is in shambles. Things are really going downhill, especially with the Biden administration involved. And right now, I know you guys don't hear a lot of good news going on, and quite frankly, it's just because there is no good news out there to share, unfortunately. However, in today's broadcast, I wanted to bring good news to you. I wanted to bring you encouragement. You see, in the midst of all the trauma that we are all going through right now, whether it's struggling with a family member, whether it's struggling, in your health, or whether you've got financial issues, you're struggling to get your next plate of food, because right now everyone is literally at some level of struggle in light of what's happening in our society. So today I wanted to bring on a good friend and amazing author, Emily Gardner Fape, and she has written two amazing books, one of those being Finding the Secret Place, and her latest one, which I absolutely love and would recommend to you guys any day, Invite Jesus into Your Traumatic Memories. And I think that is absolutely a book today. And I'm going to leave her website there below so you guys can check it out. And you can find her on emilygardnerfape.com. And you can see the link right here on the screen. But with that, let's bring her on because she has so much to discuss. So Emily, are you with me over there?
I am. Hi, Lisa.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. I am so excited you're here to bring a little bit of encouragement to everybody listening. But with that, let's start first with the state of the world, because quite frankly, the whole world seems to be in this major traumatic experience, if you will. And lots of people are suffering financially, mentally, and not just today, but also in their past. We've got lots of trauma that has really added up. But with that, where do you think the state of the world is right now?
Well, I don't think it's good. And not surprising, if you believe what the Bible says, take the passage in Ephesians 2 as an example. Who is in control of our world? The enemy. Our enemy, the enemy of our souls, has actually been in control of the world since the get-go. So, and as we move more into the end times, which I do think we are, then we're going to have to be ready. Especially as believers in Jesus, we're going to have to be ready for what's to come. And I don't think we currently are. I do think that if we can move to a place of personal peace and have more real encounters with the real Jesus, which is what I really do emphasize in my book, then we're going to be better equipped to face whatever it is that happens in the future. And like you said, we've got to be ready for most anything.
Absolutely. Well, can people have these real, you said true experiences with Jesus? Do they exist? Can they have them?
Well, absolutely. People can encounter Jesus today. I'm thinking of what Jesus told the disciples before he died, rose again, and went to heaven. He said to them, it's really in your best interest that I leave, because when I leave, the helper is going to come, the Holy Spirit. And then he said something very striking. He said, I will send him to you. I will send him to you. Now, what do you think he meant by that? I think he meant that, when I leave this place, I'm not going to be so limited as I am right now here living in my earth suit. I'm going to be in a place where I can come to you anytime you call me, whether it be your past, your present, or your future, for that matter. You call, you invite me, and I will come. And, hard to imagine how many people are in the world today, like 8 billion people. But if what Jesus told his disciples at that time is true, and I believe it is, if all 8 billion people called Jesus to come into their current circumstances, he could, he would, and he will. So now, in addition to that, I help people all the time with their traumatic memories. So a traumatic memory would be a very raw, personal place that maybe only you and a couple of other people in this lifetime even know about. But I challenge them and train them on how to invite Jesus into those past situations where they have picked up a lot of things and they've been carrying those things around for a lifetime. Things like fear. How many people do you know who are fearful today? Even more so. But fear, mistrust, unforgiveness, shame, guilt, all those things they've been carrying around for even a lifetime. And inviting Jesus in and having this face to face encounter with the real Jesus helps them heal. So that's what's happening in the healing of a traumatic memory. They are getting healed. The parts of them that have been wounded in life are actually getting healed. And that is actually changing their present and giving them better equipment. So going forward into the future, they are able to more successfully fight what the enemy is doing in our world today. And I think that would be one of the major reasons why I wrote the book, because I felt compelled to do what I could to train people to be ready for what is coming.
And here's the thing too. So I think what you're trying to say as well, or what you're saying is as well, is that our traumatic experiences in our past, be it rejection, be it fear, be it guilt, be it whatever it is that you're harboring, it's like a stone, if you will, that we're carrying around, and it's really heavy. And the experience was so traumatic that you've got a vivid memory of whatever that was that brought that major trauma. And in order to say move on in life or get over that state of depression that you're in, or to get over whatever funk that you could be in, a lot of the times the answer is in the past, where we have to drop the root of the problem, whatever that traumatic memory is. Is that what you're kind of going at there as well?
Yes, exactly. Because we're carrying around things that have never been dealt with. And they weigh on us and are present, and then we're carrying them into our future. We've been restricted. We've been kept from fulfilling our potential. This is what the enemy has done to our souls. There's a simple solution to it all, which is what I'm dealing with in my book. But people need to know what to do. It seems like people just are simply at loss for what to do in terms of how to remedy these problems.
Now, how do you remedy it?
Well, you have to have an encounter with the real Jesus. This is not church doctrine. This is not just, knowing things in your head, Bible verses or what have you. This is putting yourself in a vulnerable position where you are encountering the real Jesus, the one who really died, who really rose again, who really ascended, and who currently does sit at the right hand of the Father, and who is willing and able to come and be real to you whenever you call him.
That's awesome. And I know I've been a Christian for many, many years. So I encourage everybody out there. You want to always make sure, first and foremost, your life is right with Jesus, and then let him come in and let him heal you in those places that maybe you don't realize are such a burden. And that's why I really love your book, Invite Jesus into Your Traumatic Memories, because I think you really, really dive into that. But what do you have any, I guess, examples that you want to share, either a personal experience where God has helped you through a traumatic memory, or maybe an experience of someone that you've dealt with? I know you've done a lot of deliverances as well. She does do deliverance. Awesome. But do you have any, examples of that?
Yes, actually, quite a few, and I write about a lot of them in the book. But one of the ones I'm thinking of right off the top of my head is a good friend of mine whose father actually sexually abused her for about 10 years of her life. And of course, she's in her adult life been a strong Christian. She and I were talking a lot about the need to heal those wounds, and in particular, the need to make sure that she had truly forgiven her father for the things that he had done against her. She seemed to always think that she had truly. She kept saying to me, "No, I really have forgiven him. I really, really have." So anyway, I encouraged her. This was in my early days of doing memory healing with people. I encouraged her to sit down with me and let's go through some healing. So we did. And of course, she wanted to heal every memory but that one. And so, we did the one she wanted to do. And I let a few weeks go by. And then finally, I circled back to the one that I knew was really hanging her up. So finally, she said, "Okay, we'll do it." So we did it. And lo and behold, it was an amazing encounter. Jesus showed up. What happens is when you encounter him in these memories, his love is so overwhelming. And it's not just his love for you, it's his love for the perpetrator. It's the love he has even for the one who's doing harm against you. It gives you an ability to see that person through his eyes, if that can make sense. And that's hard to do until you have an encounter like what I'm describing. But anyway, she said she had suddenly an overwhelming sense of how Jesus felt toward her father. And at that point, she was able to truly, truly forgive him. And she realized that she had not, in fact, before really forgiven. So that forgiveness, letting go of that unforgiveness, actually dissolves curses that are associated with those memories. So in her case, like a curse you might call shame or guilt or even unforgiveness, anything like that. Those curses just kind of dissolve off of you at that instant in time. And so anyway, that's a good example of what I'm talking about. But childhood experiences are generally where we go when we're trying to heal memories, because those are the ones you've carried around with you for the longest period of time. But certainly you can have encounters with Jesus in the present. If you're going through something, especially in our world today, if you're fearful, if you're rubbing up against something that is causing you anxiety, you can learn to just invite Jesus to come and to be so real to you in that moment that you are able to give him your fear. As an example, you're able to literally give him the fear, and then he gives you back. He's the redeemer, right? The redeemer is the one who does the exchange. So you give him fear, you give him whatever it is you're holding, and he gives you back the opposite. I believe the opposite of fear is God's unconditional, perfect love for you, his passion. Not just knowing it in your head, but feeling it, feeling his passion for you, I think is the opposite of fear. So that's what I'm teaching people to do, to, even in their, certainly in their past, because that's where you start, but in your present, applying some of these same techniques, if you will, to be able to unload things that are burdening you and change your mindset. So going forward into the future, even though it may be very uncertain, going forward, you are equipped, you have peace, personal peace, and strength that you didn't have before.
What do you say to a skeptic who says, you can't, that's too impossible to forgive something to this fill in the blank level? Maybe they lost a child, or somebody murdered a child, or they lost a spouse due to something major, something very traumatic. What do you say to the skeptic that says that?
Well, I would just say that based on my experience, I have dealt with so many people who have had so many horrific things happen to them, and I have seen it with my own eyes. I have witnessed it. When people are willing to be vulnerable and to just try it, to just see, it's okay. You can just try it to see what happens. But invite Jesus. He always comes. I have done this with religious people, secular people who don't even necessarily believe in God. I have never had a time, never, when Jesus didn't show up in some way, shape, or form that was very real to these people. And they were very struck by it. So, anyway, I guess that's what I would say. You just have to be willing to try. You have to be willing to try. But his love in that encounter is so profound, it just changes everything. I think a lot of people in our culture have not experienced the passion that God has for us as individuals. And that's a lot of the problem. But once you've experienced it, even one time, then you know it's real. And then you're eager to do more.
Do you think that God shows himself more today than before, or is it the reverse?
I think he shows himself to people who are seeking him, whose hearts truly desire to have a greater experience. In other words, they are recognizing their need. I think more and more people in our day and time are recognizing the need to have personal peace and freedom, because our times are so uncertain. Our times are uncertain, and people everywhere need to do this. Not just not just people who believe in God, but all people from every sort of background needs to do this, because we don't know what we're moving into. We don't know what we're moving to, and the only way to have this level of security and strength is to have these types of real encounters with the living God.
Is revival coming?
I think it is. I think it is. Um, you know, Last year, I think it was, I saw a map on TV, a map, like a map of the world, and it had all these lines going various which ways. And what they were showing was how quickly COVID had spread all across the world. And when I saw that picture, I thought, wow, I think that is what revival is going to look like. It is going to happen so quick. And it's not going to happen in the traditional way that we've always thought that revival might come. I think it's going to happen through encounters. Let me call it this: close encounters of the Jesus kind. Remember that movie, Close Encounters? Uh, I think that's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen that fast. It's going to spread like wildfire, because Jesus is just going to be showing up. He's just going to be showing up, and people are not going to be able to. They're not going to back down. They're going to go, "Oh my, how did I miss this ever before?" But this is a Jesus that I want to embrace and give my life to.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for anybody out there who doesn't know Jesus, I encourage you to get to know him, especially in light of everything that's going on. But with that, Emily, in concluding thoughts, what would be your advice to anyone who is currently or has suffered some kind of traumatic memory? And where can they look you up, find you, your website information, and all of that if they want to chat with you?
I would say that your memories can be healed. That the things that have been restricting you, that have been hindering you, maybe your whole life, can be dissolved, eliminated supernaturally through the type of encounter that I'm talking about in my book with the real Jesus. You just have to be vulnerable and willing to submit yourself to it. And you might need to learn a little bit more about how it's done. Um, but with that said, the curses that you have been carrying can be broken. Any demons that have been attached to your wounds, you can tell to go. And then your present is going to change supernaturally, and then going into your future, the trajectory of the path that you're on is going to shift, and suddenly you're going to be on a different path, and one that is taking you into the destiny that God in fact had for you all along. So if you are a person who is experiencing trauma of any kind, or just fear in general, as you're facing what's going on in the world, feel free to contact me. You can do so at emilygardnerfoppe.com. There you'll find all the information on my two books, as well as various blogs and videos and things like that. If you'd like to email me, you can. I do consult with people via Zoom. Even people who are not local to me. I have helped many individuals that way. So feel free to contact me if that's something that you would be motivated to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it. And I'm going to leave the information to her website below. So make sure you click the info box below to check that out as well. But thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. I truly appreciate it, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I love all of you guys. That was Emily, and I'm Lisa Haven signing out.